Hello.
Hey, hello guys. Hello everyone.
Hello. Hello.
Welcome
Hey.
to another quarterly report. Hey guys, so hello everyone. Hello to another quarterly report. This time Q1 2018. Oh, sorry, 2020. Well, time goes fast. This is actually, we only have another quarterly report on this format, and then we will move to a semester. And I hope by the end of this presentation you can understand the reason behind that. But we still have a Q2 2020 and then an anniversary report this year. So I wanted to do an overview of the Q1. The goal really is to be at what we call general availability. So I have posted on our community, so at community.nash.io, about what is general availability. And the way we can describe this is a business goal, in a sense of how can we promote and how can we push certain sides of the business. It's not specific a technical milestone, but the milestones itself are very important and within this goal. So we have here put 6 milestones that are core for GA, and at least half of those are already done. The first one is the MPC-based API keys. Those are really important for high-volume traders, and Ethan will come to more details about these. Then Bitcoin trading. Tom will talk more about this later, but this is also really important as this is the biggest asset on the cryptocurrency class. And also better UI. So we need a really strong UI. It needs to be better than the competition. And I think everybody has been seeing the fast-paced iterations we have been doing on the UI. I think it looks great. Together with those, we have 3 other developments ongoing. One of those is Nash Fiat Ramp. So the way this appears is just another option on the app, but it's more than that because it's also a set of APIs that will allow third parties to integrate Nash Fiat ramps on their own services. So for doing that, we implement an API that's called request for code, and Fabian will talk more about this later. And also in development is a piece of the software that a lot of people has brought to us with not only bugs, but user experience problems, which is the transfer flow. We strive a lot to provide the best user experience possible. And this is really a critical component that we are focusing in the near future, because there's a lot of things that happens behind here. It's where all the management of the state channels happens. And even though it appears as a simple UI, it's a critical component of the system. Tom might talk a little bit this. And a simple milestone, but it's the last one, is just we want to streamline the process for Tier 2 KYC. And I will include here Tier 3 as well, which is institutional traders. We want to be really a place where anyone can trade. And when I say anyone, is from very low volume to very high volumes, a platform which is safe for the full spectrum of users. So with this, I would say that achieving GA, which is our goal for this quarter, the second quarter, which we are in now, really is shifting the company So you will see us talking a lot less about new products and really focus on growth and from the whole aspect, right? So growth here in number of users, in volume, in stability, in performance. So really refinement of the platform. And that's why after the second quarter, we will migrate to semesters, because we will be focusing on growth measurements and not announcing new products or announcing, how can I say, new business lines. We really want to focus on this platform that we have built. I think the only addition from these 6 goals that are here is the Nash Pay, which is within this scope, and Fabian will talk about this later. But that's really our focus, and that's why we are taking this direction. With this, I would like to invite Ethan to take and continue the presentation.
Thanks, Fabio. Yeah, so I'd like to start just by talking really about, I think, what one of our biggest accomplishments in Q1 was, of course, besides Bitcoin, which Tom will talk more about later, which is these non-custodial API keys. So just to reiterate, this is really the first system of its kind anywhere. It's running live right now. You can use it on Neo and Ethereum. You can very soon use it for Bitcoin. And so what's the idea with this, right? So it's a permissioned key system, just like centralized exchanges. So all of these people who use centralized exchange APIs, who want to have permissions on various API keys, this is what our system is designed to do. But it does this in a non-custodial way. So currently we support address whitelisting with these keys, but in the future we're going to support all the other important things like trading limits, deposit limits, withdrawal limits, and so on. So at a technical level, the way this works is you break a private key into 2 parts. It requires signatures from each part. And using this, Nash can validate requests and still not have any control of user funds. So this is a really, really powerful concept. And again, I think a lot of other exchanges are probably going to be trying to follow up on this, but we'll see what happens. So right now, just to reiterate, this is only for API keys. Sorry, we're still on the other slide. In the future, though, we're going to add it to the exchange funds management more broadly. So this means it will apply to all user wallets and give those wallets, kind of security superpowers, right, in terms of being able to set these limits on withdrawals and so on. So, just to sum up here, this is going to give you very good security policies. So a hacker who gets your API key, they're not going to be able to do anything with the funds besides the limits that you've specified. So this is like way enhanced security. And in some ways, it's actually safer than hardware wallets. I know that's a interesting claim to be making, but you do have to trust the hardware on hardware keys. So, this, no one can do anything without Nash's validation, and Nash isn't going to validate unless it's within these policies that you define. So final thing to say about this, Fabio was sort of getting at this idea of growth for the company, that growth is really our kind of next step here, taking these products that we've built and really pushing them and getting far more users. And this product, this API key product, is extremely important for market making and liquidity partners. And that's one big reason we prioritized it so strongly. So you can go to the next slide now. And so with that, I'd like to move on to some of the forward-looking things for research. So ongoing, we have security reviews of the current system. We're working more with NCC Group and others on this, just to make sure as we move into general availability that all these systems are really secure and systems that people can trust. Similarly, we're looking into further improvements and refinements of the protocols that we have. So the idea is, can we make these state channels that govern the cross-chain trading even more secure, right? This is especially important for Bitcoin as we move into larger volume of those markets. And we're thinking about, what other guarantees can we give users, right? So this is also tied in with the idea of allowing users to manually withdraw from state channels and providing infrastructure and support for these properties that really make the exchange non-custodial. I'd also like to mention that we are opening a new research initiative kind of into decentralized finance broadly. So two ideas that we're thinking about are first, this idea of non-custodial leverage. This is a really powerful idea. It's something that a lot of people have been asking for. And two options that we're looking into and that we see some fairly promising approaches for are both options trading and perpetual futures contracts. So these are both financial instruments that would give you leverage and allow you to trade swings in the market or go long and short in the market. So this is very interesting in a non-custodial exchange context. The other thing that we're looking at, and this is something that we've seen in the sort of really massive interest actually in the user staking, right? So we've seen user staking of Nash tokens just increase dramatically over time. There's clearly a lot of interest in assets that generate interest on your accounts. So we're looking into whether we can provide non-custodial lending and borrowing setups that will allow people who have funds in our funds management system to actually earn interest on those things. So with that, the final announcement I'd like to make is that I will be actually focusing 100% of my Nash time on research to drive some of these new initiatives. And Luciano has actually already taken over broad engineering management as our new CTO. So with that, I'd like to pass it over to Luciano.
Thanks, Ethan. Hey guys. So yeah, I've been taking over the CTO job from Ethan that has been doing a great job so far. But he's going over to doing more research. So yeah, I'm focusing on that now too. So talking a little about security and DevOps. We've been working really hard this quarter to, of course, deliver a better product to both our users and also to our developers, so we can have to take better of our developers' time, and that included in the terms of security, tightening our content security policies across all over the little pieces that make our infrastructure and the different services that we have running internally. We also made several improvements and are still doing several improvements to our CI/CD and testing pipeline, and increasing a lot our monitoring systems. We are trying to really get the metrics out and data so we can work on and keep delivering better and better service. We also migrate our DNS server in a way that makes it more easier for our developers to work on and make changes as we need them. And we've been working since we've been working with Kafka from the past 3 years, we've been developing knowledge over it. It's not an easy tool to handle. And we aim to eventually manage Kafka ourselves. So we've been training our developers and handling it better to make that change in the future. Now, talking a bit about trading and accounts. We got a lot of feedback from people who starting using the exchange in this past quarter, especially our liquidity providers, and we've been working really closely to them, getting constant feedback about how our services are responding in terms of latency and APIs and everything that we can do to make it better. And we saw like huge improvements there. I would like to thank everyone, both our liquidity providers and our developers that have been putting a lot of effort into this, and we really got like 75% increase or decrease in latency, which was really good and put us level with major players in the market. We also delivered a new MPC-based API keys that allow users now to integrate bots or other services that want to interact with our exchange to use our API keys, and now also with a WebSocket support in new endpoints, so we can deliver an even smoother and faster experience. Of course, also a big hole in this last quarter was the integration with Bitcoin trading service, and also the ongoing development of fiat ramps and Nash Pays. Nash Pays builds on top of fiat ramps, so it's continuous work there. And also, we've been noticing something great after these 2 years working. which is we are finding a more efficient development cycle, which is everyone kind of already knows their roles and what to do and when to do. So things are running much more smoothly in terms of planning and working together to achieve our internal goals. And with that, I want to pass it on to Tom, who will talk a bit about settlement and portfolio. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Luciano. Hey, everyone. Yeah, a lot of changes over the past quarter. I think the big one that everyone's waiting to hear is non-custodial Bitcoin trading. We're happy to announce that we'll be opening that up for everyone later today. It has been open for Tier 2 users this past week and running rather smoothly. Our market maker liquidity providers have been running their bots on both the BTC USD market and the ETH BTC market smoothly. So we're pretty excited to open up trading to everyone. And yeah, so we are going to be in just over the weekend as we monitor how this goes. There will be some small restrictions. So not allowing people to deposit more than one Bitcoin for this at this time. But once we have monitored the system in a general open availability setting for a couple of days, we'll be able to remove those restrictions and have unrestricted Bitcoin trading in a decentralized way for everyone. So we're really proud of the team for being able to deliver this, and very happy for the community and everyone to be able to do this. So it's been a long progress, a lot of work has gone in to get to this point, and it's taken a long time because we did not take a lot of the easy solutions we could have taken. One of the first things we looked into when we wanted to do non-custodial Bitcoin trading was kind of a wrapped Bitcoin that's traded on an ETH chain or a Neo chain, and due to like true custody issues, we decided that wasn't the way. And then atomic swaps also have an issue with being compatible with the kind of centralized exchange experience that we want to provide our users. So we ended up building a state channel-like protocol for trading Bitcoin, and we believe it's a pretty awesome solution to deliver to our users. We do operate, on the Bitcoin chain. So if you are depositing, it'll take us a couple of blocks to confirm your deposit, and same with withdrawals. But once your Bitcoin is in the trading contract or in the trading system, you can trade it as fast as you would any other asset. And with our new improvements in WebSockets and API trading from the trading and accounts team, you can trade it really fast. So we're really excited about that, and we will be focusing on support in the next this weekend for sure, and then the next weekend. So if you have any issues, don't be afraid to reach out. We want to be proactive in all those issues, so we're very excited about that. Other things in the settlement side is, I know Fabio mentioned that we have had user issues with the transfer to and from trading contract. I think in the past, if your balance was syncing, you'd have to start the balance sync and then maybe come back a half hour later and retry it again. And we weren't really happy with that experience. So we've got a solution now that is more of a fire and forget solution. So if you want to deposit to ETH, even if your balance does need to get synced, it'll allow you to just essentially save your intent to do that, and once the blockchain is ready to accept your deposit, it'll send it off for you. This isn't our final transfer user experience improvement. We ultimately want to make this even more robust for the user. But for now, we hope that this intermediate solution allows our users to interact with the trading contract much more smoothly. Other work was integration with the MPC APIs. We did need to do some support with the Nash protocol core JavaScript library to support some of the signing that's required for MPC, both trading, deposits, and withdrawals. We did some updates to how our transactions from the backend are submitted to the blockchain in a more maintainable and monitorable way. And then with the Bitcoin trading protocol, we needed a different monitoring system for our wallets to be able to track UTXOs in a more robust ways. So we built out a new wallet monitoring system for Bitcoin, and we are going to be using that more robust system for our Nash Pay service, and ultimately hopefully that turns into something more of our own general block explorer, so we can stop being dependent on external services for some of this data that is so important to us. And the last thing is increasing monitoring on all of our backend systems, but especially the smart contract and the state channels, so that we get warnings before a problem even happens and can react proactively. That's it. Thanks, everyone.
Cool. Thanks, Tom. So I'll speak a bit about payments and mobile on behalf of Chris Hager, who is not amongst us at the moment for some very happy reasons. So first of all, probably some of you noticed that we pushed a new version of our app today. So it's already available on the Play Store. App Store users, as always, have to wait a bit longer, unfortunately. So you guys probably realized, and Fabio and Luciano were talking about it a bit, that we shortened our release cycles quite significantly. So whenever users provide feedback, we really try to get those changes into our working products as fast as possible. So the new version, as versions before, is packed with a lot of improvements and small features that I invite you guys to try out. I just want to touch upon one of the versions, one of the features that was added, because it will pave the way for a lot of features that are important in the future, being the ability to move funds between the personal wallet and the trading account. So this not only means that now you can, using the app, send funds from the exchange to external parties, just using your mobile phone, but this also enables us functionalities that will be in the next release. So Fabio, can show the next slide. And here, obviously, we are aware that in order to meet our growth targets, we need to make sure that we have the whole user journey available on mobile phone as well. And this obviously includes the trading, Nash Pay, fiat ramp, and also account creation. And with the current release that we pushed, we have the base to make this happen. We also increased our team size for the mobile, so we are very confident that we can ship this in Q2 still. The fiat ramp is finally around the corner. So we will opening this up at the beginning of May. So there was quite a lot of work behind the curtain needed from a legal point of view, but also from a technical side. And we'll first be launching with SEPA transfer only, and we aim for a pretty quick 1-day turnaround, 1 working day. And this should be the case for 95% of cases. We will have 0% fee, and we'll try to keep it this way. This depends a bit on liquidity on our exchange, but we will really work hard to make this happen. Regarding credit card payments, so one of the reasons why we're currently not supporting that yet is that we are not okay with the relatively high fee the providers are charging. So we are really trying to work something out with our partners to be among the cheapest in the industry. Given that Nash fiat RAM is around the corner, that also means that Nash Pay is around the corner because it shares a lot of the legal hurdles. So since all legal and technical components are now in place, we are very close. So I'm not leaning too much out of the window saying that this will also be Q2. And since there's quite a bit of confusion what this actually entails, I will provide a quick summary of what Nash Pay is and why it's attractive to merchants to use it to accept cryptocurrencies. So first of all, we'll really try to make the life easy for merchants that are not very familiar with cryptocurrencies yet. So they can use their fiat systems, accounting systems, as we pay our merchants in fiat currencies. So the journey goes that users buy something with cryptocurrencies in their shops, and then Nash takes care of all the conversion and sends the requested amount in fiat to the partners. This has for them several advantages. The accounting system I mentioned, but also there's zero risk for them in terms of crypto volatility. And all the partners we talk to, they really at this point are not willing to take this risk. So some of them expressed that they would like to be able to accept stablecoins and then hold them to stay in the crypto ecosystem. But most of them really prefer fiat conversion. Another plus is that we will charge 0 fees. So it's up to the vendor if they want to add a premium. But of course, we will not have any partners that charge crazy amounts. So we will really try to limit these fees.
Thank you, Fabian. So I'll give a small update regarding design and UX. So as a comment on the first slides, we did a big change a bit overall on the trading side. I think almost all of our users noticed the improvement, but we are also deploying similar improvements across the product. So there's what we call a design audit. So there has been a large review of our platform in terms of user experience, right? So we hear all the feedback both on the hundreds of interviews that we have done with our community and traders, and also from the open threads that we have had on our community. And even when people send us email out of the blue with screenshots, and Nathaniel, Erica, and Sumit, the design team, made amazing work on this audit. So as you guys saw, we deployed a new Exchange UI for the Advanced Exchange, but we will also be deploying new UIs for staking, for markets, and for orders. Together with the importance of these deliverable, as Ethan, Tom, Luciano, and Fabian said, there's also a very innovative way to present API keys here, which is lovable work from the whole team that was involved in this. So as you guys all saw, this is the new UI for the Advanced Exchange. You can see there's several components here that improve on our systems. One that I'm really a fan of is this top bar where your favorites now display. So if you are a frequent trader, it's very quick. It's like a fraction of a second to change from one market to the other if you see this price is opportunity for you. Also, something that we really wanted to make better is our markets tab. So yes, we're gonna show all the pairs we have now, not only the ones based on volumes, but we are also consolidating the information in such a way that the markets tab is not only an informative tab to show the markets open in Nash, but also a quick place to take decisions. So when you look at this new view, a trader can quickly see market opportunities by looking not only at the last price, but also at the top and bottom of the bid and ask, the spread, and more critical information. So you can quickly choose one of these pairs. The next step here is that from a single click here, you can quickly place an order, and then you would be able to act really quickly on market opportunities. So several of these improvements also come into the new product. And as we learned from other Fiat ramps, the Nash Fiat ramp takes on a new UI that's using the lessons learned from all those other integrations we have done. Is really great. We have a new transfer flow, as Tom said, is not the final, and you can actually have a small window into the future here. If you look at the new version of the mobile that Fabian was talking about, we have there the new experience we want to provide to the transfer. So now going from an action to the final goal, it's really quick. So what we say is like a single click action. So you know you want to do something with a single click, you can get on that. And that's what we have delivered on the transfers on mobile, and is where we are aiming for on the web app as well. So you can see those screens here. So the moment that you click the plus button, you are popped with 4 options. One is to scan, and here the scan is really looking into this QR code-driven economy, like you have more prominently in Asia. But the idea is that you can scan anything, not only a price, not only a request, but even things like KYC or some promotion, and then it's all centralized in a single action. Send and receive are directly to personal, and then trading contract, which is taking the main screen here, moving between personal and trading contract is really one click, right? And so that's the whole goal, is speed. We want to be the fastest, but the fastest doesn't mean only the amazing work the trading team has been doing on the APIs, but also the UX, the user experience is really fast. I want to give a small update on the work we have been doing on the market communications on Q1. It's interesting that all these updates are on Q1, so we are really proud of all the work done by the team. So we have started, most of our community is already aware, we have started a test program for what we call investors. So 12 people from the community has joined this program, and we have been saying building things for those people. So it's materials, tools, things that they can share. But also we are learning what are the best ways we can help these people. So for example, this week we just deployed a new badge that you can quickly identify those people in the community. You can see also several improvements that we have been doing to the community, and part of the work done is not live and should be live in the next couple of weeks. For example, the next community will be fully integrated with the login system of the web app. So everyone without the extension, if you have one access ticket, you'll be able to log into the community and post your messages there. We also have amazing website redesign. And the way we did this website redesign is fully based on feedback. So we got all the feedback we had from the initial website. Then we designed the website visually with what we call tentative copy. And then looking with investors, we look at the copy for those elements. And then we set it on a final website that I think it's beautiful and people will love it. Also, we started to as I was saying, we started to transition in this growth phase. And when we transition to this, the market and communications team, which also does support currently, it becomes what we call a growth team. And on the growth team, you not only have specialists on communication, on advertising and support or copy, you also need to have engineering capacity. So this is people that can actually build websites and build things for marketing. And we are really happy to have our first growth engineer in the company. The new ambassadors, they are present in more than just the Nash community. And that's the whole idea. We know how big outside of Nash community the networks are. So there are strong networks in several different regions of the countries and different regions of the world, languages. So you can have WeChat, QQ, Telegram, Discourse, WhatsApp, TikTok, Instagram. There's so many networks these days, and it's obvious Nash cannot be present everywhere. But people is everywhere, and we know we have a lot of people in our community that's present on those networks. So the idea is to continue to grow the number of ambassadors. And what an ambassador is, so ambassador is someone that can promote national alternative channels and ping us for information. It's someone that can facilitate contact with institutions. It's someone that will be empowered and supported by Nash to run local crypto meetups. Also engaging with the broader crypto community, how do we approach some communities? Sometimes some communities are more closed than others, and so we need to do some work to help these people, to help our community get there. Also, we are looking to have a bigger reach in terms of languages. You will see on the new screens of the new website and also on the application that we have a language selector now. These are also the new badges for the community. So together with the whole overhaul, we have inside this UX that we were looking at. Also, we have small details, and I think the key to excellence is really nailing the small details, not only the big part. And these are the badges you can have today on Nash Community. And we have a special badge for Nash ambassadors. I think they look great. We will spend on those, and we will start to link badges with different kind of activities on our community. Also, one thing that was really important for us is together with this whole movement that Nash is doing. So Nash did a whole redesign. Nash is deploying NPCs, deploying Bitcoin trading, is deploying fiat ramps. So it's so many things come together. It was important to have a new face that was up to the quality of those innovations. So when we visit all the feedback we received, one thing that was clear to us is that people couldn't see as fast as we wanted all the services and all the things we bring to the table. So we broke down the website for Nash in two websites, one for personal and one for business. And we want to make it really quick to users, to retail users, what are the advantages of Nash, and really quick to businesses, what they can get off, or what are the services that we can help them to succeed. And in here we bring very simple, so it's the concept what we call flat flat pages. So all those pages, they should contain all the information and no sublinks, so you become deeper on the website. I think it looks great, and it managed to look great in such a way that it keeps the visual identity of Nash. Also, several things are really important for us. For example, we noticed that a lot of what we'll call here noise and FUD was saying that Nash requires KYC, and that's not true. Nash requires KYC if you are trading above some volumes. So you can see right on the Nash website, we have a ticker here showing that no KYC is required. And this is the kind of feedback, the kind of detail that we introduced everywhere in the product to make sure that we transmit the qualities of the product. On the support side, we have always strived to be very fast on resolution. As Tom mentioned, I think the biggest issue we have today is the transfers that we are working really hard into make it as great as other parts of the product. But even though I think it's important to see how efficient has been the resolution of issues. So the mean response time in the chat has been 22 seconds, where we have almost 70% of all the tickets solved in one touch. So one touch means that in a single reply from our support team, almost 70% of the issues are solved. We have achieved a satisfaction rate that's overall 95%. So this includes random emails sent to our support. This is absolutely the best in the industry, and we are really proud of the support team. I think they have been doing amazing work, and not only they have doing amazing work in providing support to the product, but also in provide feedback on issues that the users find in the product. So I think this is a really interesting piece of Nash that we got right, which is the support team can create issue tickets that can be picked by the engineers or the teams, depending on which part this issue is. So that it's really quick to go from the user to a solution of a feature. So we have expanded the knowledge base. We have linked articles within the platform. So the whole idea here is that the application itself helps you to provide support. So before you would have an issue and you would see a crash or an error and people would go to support to find a solution. Now you see we show a small icon where you can click, and clicking into this icon will bring you to an article that explains why this error happened and what are the possible solutions to it. So the whole idea here is that people can really solve their issues really quickly. Okay, guys, so I think the next is the AMA. So before going to the AMA, we'll have a small break. All right, guys, so I'm joined now by the other 4 founders as well, where we go over questions selected by the communications team from the thread in the community. So just a shout out to people in the community as well. If you want to participate on these AMAs, just join our community at community.nash.io. On the list here, the first 2 are for me, so a little bit the sequence here. So the first one is from Old Sport, and the question is, what's the next main objective for the app? New pairs, coping with incoming volume, wallet MPC upgrade, or transfer final fix. So remembering that the third slide in this presentation, we brought the 3 in development activities for general availability. So those are the main objectives for us. And they are that because they will bring us to general availability. A small comment here that coping with incoming volume is not really a problem. Our system can handle a volume much bigger than currently we are exercising. And I would say, even if we get to top 10 exchanges, I wouldn't see a problem coping with the volume today. The second one is from Gorlin, 1981. It's, hey guys, question 1. So I think he did more than one question, but I just ask people to always make single posts for each question. Could you elaborate a bit about the Planet bot for non-tech people, please? How will it work in detail? And time frame for launch? So this bot, it will be built in such a way that we call trend following. So basically, it will not be a market-making bot or arbitrage bot in itself. It will be an engine, and this engine you can write strategies, and then it will follow those strategies. So the whole idea here is to provide a tooling that people can build their strategies themselves. And the idea is that people can actually become profitable with this, because when you have a single strategy that many people can operate, it drives down the profitability of it. So we want people to continue to trade and have opportunities to gain. One thing is that this is not a big priority for us right now. Our priority is general availability. And in the meantime, where this is not online or not available, we will look to work together with companies which their business is hosting bots, because the bot for non-tech people will not be hosted by Nash. It will be an open source free tool that any people can run, but it will not be hosted on Nash. And on the meantime, we will prefer to talk to hosted solutions that are focused on this business.
Next one from Roberto 947 asks, would love an update on adding new coins, tokens, and their rough timelines. How far behind BTC trading and major coins like Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash do you expect to have these trading within a few months of Bitcoin trading? So in terms of Litecoin and Bitcoin Cash and also Dogecoin, as soon as we are happy with Bitcoin trading, which is hopefully in the next couple weeks, we can start adding support for these other UTXO Bitcoin sibling chains. We designed a protocol so it would be compatible with these, so it should be pretty easy. But it always ends up being a compromise between what is a real priority. But this should be a pretty easy thing to get in by the end of the next couple of months.
All right, so the user Jobaba asked, I want to know what the team think about fake volume as seen in many exchanges. And then looking at CNC, it looks so obvious that many exchanges are faking volumes. What's your opinion about the extent of fake volume? And if top exchanges does that as well. So from Nash perspective, we do not monitor fake volume. So we are not tracking those exchanges and seeing if they are pushing fake volume or not. I would just say that there are several third-party studies like the Bitwise ETF application for the SEC, where they show the evidence of fake volume on most of exchanges, including top 10 exchanges. So we know it's a problem of our industry. What I can say is that Nash strives to be transparent, and there's no fake volume in Nash. but we are really not tracking the competition if they are being honest on this measurement.
Right, so I can take those. Halatots is asking, what is the status of the security trading license? When could we realistically see Nash have the ability to list securities like now? So we still get this question quite a lot for good reasons, I think. The truth is, and we said this several times before, that it's not a focus right now because it would require significant resources to make this happen. We've proven that we know how to break new grounds, but for this one, it's a bit too much risk for us to take at the moment to invest these resources without actually knowing where the whole industry is going and whether this finally pays off. So the path we chose is that we will let others spearhead this, and then if this actually is a promising path, then we will probably partner up with other parties, and then we will also be able to list NEX on Nash. Besides the security trading license, which is the obvious path to list NEX on our exchange, is that we try to look at some workarounds to still make this happen. So this does not mean that we would be able to list any security tokens out there, but just NEX. And this is something that might work out. We don't have the green light yet here, but it's a careful statement. Next one from Upinaya. How does it look in the long-term planning regarding the upcoming digital national currencies, Forex trading? China is now testing in 4 cities. It's definitely interesting, so it's something we are observing. There's not much legal clarity yet what these tokens actually mean from a legal point of view. Like, is this e-money? Is this considered just money as fiat? So there are a lot of open legal questions that first need to be addressed. But obviously, this will be a huge market, and we will have an eye on this. Hatertos, what is the status of the Nash fiat ramp? So I already provided an update before, and it's looking pretty solid. So tech is ready, banking partners are ready, and we expect this to open early May. Yeah.
Thank you, Fabian. So we have here 2 questions for me. The first one is really related to what Fabian just said, so which is from Ghetto Blaster. I love the nicknames. Considering the recent move by Libra, what is Nash's position on CDBCs? Is something that could be implemented in a custodial way. So it's I would take this from a technical perspective because Fabian and I were talking about the legal aspects. From a technical perspective, this is not given. So not every central bank digital currency will be able to be non-custodial. And one example that I will use is the example of the previous user. So the Chinese prototype that is being has leaked, right? People have seen it. It does not allow a non-custodial or self-custody of assets. What this means is at the network level, there's only bank accounts. There's no individual accounts. So for people to actually own some digital currency, they need to have an account on the bank, and then the bank has an account with the central bank, which issues the digital currency. So on this prototype, for example, it would not be possible to Nash provide a non-custodial service. Of course, we hope that the main central bank digital currencies that come online in the future, they do allow individual accounts because this is really powerful from many perspectives, and it's really a great feature for our currency. And when you think about digital currencies, they will be all competing against each other. Next one is from Omar, which is one of our investors, and he's getting a question from a Telegram user, which is about the article on Vision Opportunities Part 1. So we need to do a Part 2 now that we're coming on some milestones of that. And he asks here, Nash team talks about order book sharing and the development of it should start in 2020. And he asked if the development has started. So yes, the development for that has started, because one key feature to have what we call liquidity from other markets present on your market is performance, right? So every work the trading team is doing on performance will be crucial to allow other exchanges to put their order book inside our exchange. And also, the way we are pursuing this is also not only having the exchanges itself doing this, but also having partners that will do this integration, this linking between exchanges, so that when you execute on Nash, you have the best execution possible.
I can take that one. So user Kisha asks, I've seen it mentioned that one possible way of decentralizing the matching engine is to run a node program. Is this true and something that might come in the future? This is unfortunately one of the things that stick from our early days. We are currently not pursuing this path, not at the moment. And the reason is this is no longer applies to our current protocols. In the early days, indeed, having a decentralized matching engine would give us a lot of security benefits because the matching engine had too much power over user orders. But that is no longer true. And now in our current protocols, the matching engine can't do anything without user interaction and signatures. So it doesn't really matter if you have multiple or one matching engine running, because it doesn't give you any extra securities.
So the user RedK, which has a very funny picture here, he's asking if we consider partnering with issuance and integration security protocols. So as Fabian mentioned on the previous question, we are not pursuing securities listing right now, so we have not engaged with those protocols. Okay, so question from Moon. Moon asks that on the Q4 2019, I talked about a best price program, and that we have assigned about $1 billion to it, and that the program would be improved with the launch of Bitcoin markets. So he's asking if I could speak a little bit about the best price program as it is today, and any improvements compared to the state of it during the last report. Yes, so that is true. We have deployed about $1 million in Q4. And now with Bitcoin coming, we are deploying additional, I think our plan is $5 million. So we should increase the liquidity significantly on those markets. The whole idea here is that people can trade without worrying about liquidity. But this is only baseline liquidity, so we want to provide really tight spreads and liquidity at those tight spreads so that more people from the community can bring more liquidity. It's like a snowball effect. So after we deploy so many, people will deploy more. And RedK again. So for companies wanting to offer crypto trading services and wallet, what advantage would be integration with Nash protocol over integrated with Coinbase or other compliant exchanges? And a really simple question here is that when you integrate with Coinbase, is this your customer or is this Coinbase customer? because they are custodial exchange. So all the funds of your user would be on Coinbase. And this is really what we build Nash for, so that whoever is built on top of Nash can be certain that we do not control the funds of their users. So there's no downside for him that his users would lose funds because of Nash. That's the whole goal, and that's why we believe our protocol is much more extensible than the competition in those topics. So IRX here makes a question if there will be a Nash ID on the Nash Pay service, and he's asking if he's going to integrate Nash Pay into his D app or application, if they would be able to use a Nash account for authentication. I think there's different levels of things here. We will allow on the mobile to use a few industry standards so that they can using the mobile, they could log into your D app. But that's not the Nash account, that's just identify the personal wallet. So I would say the answer for the second part of the question is yes, but it's no for the first part of the question. Sanders DMS.
I can take that one. So Sanders DMS has several questions actually. First one, when was the last team building and how many souls participated? The last team building was on Lisbon on October 2019, if I'm not mistaken, and we had around 30 people. Sorry, I don't know the exact number, but it was around that. How would other team members feel about taking the lead or present in the next quarterly reports? I guess this is a question for the other team members, but I personally think that he should be happy doing it, and I hope so. How does Nash keep track of employer happiness? That is an interesting topic, and you can address that in several different ways. I personally try to be pretty as close as I can, work as close as I can to my employees, and be really open for people to reach out with any problems they might have with it might be work related or personal. And I think that you need to provide a good environment for people to work in and a good vision, so people are directed towards that vision and they are just happy doing what they do. They get opportunities to shine, feel important and appreciated. I surely hope so. At least we try to, every time we have some kind of achievement, to thank those people and make sure we acknowledge everything they've done and what they've been through, because it's been a lot and we know that. So that's it.
Cool. So next question from about building your own cross-chain Etherscan that shows flows between the state channels and the respective public chains. This is a really interesting question. I think it ties into a lot of ideas we've been thinking about. So from the very beginning, we've talked about being able to prove that the matching engine is doing things in a fair way. I think this idea ties into that idea in the sense that basically giving users a better way to monitor the state of our systems and to understand how they work and to know that they're working fairly is something we care a lot about. So I think this is sort of a subset of that idea. I also think this ties into the idea of basically better tools for manual withdrawal and other interactions with these state channels. And I can say that kind of more broadly going forward, we're very interested in explaining, much more and in much more detail how our state channels work. basically their benefits and the risk trade-offs and all of that. So that's something we'll probably be working on through the next quarter.
The next question is from Trust Yourselves. What is Nash doing to decentralize its sources of information for the funds manager data? From recent news about CoinMarketCap entering the Binance umbrella, it should be in Nash interest to step away from this data source. So our funds manager data is currently from lots of different places, and we do have so like, for example, when we go into maintenance, funds management data goes away. What we want to do is start a different service that's separate from kind of our core matching engine and other services that's always alive. So even if we do go into maintenance, a user can access their funds. So in addition to that, this kind of ties into some of our initiatives around Nash Pay and other monitoring stuff, but essentially building kind of our own internal representation of all the different chains, so that we can use that for consumption of blockchain data in our matching engine and settlement systems. That will be in the works over the next quarter. The other part of this is the Binance acquiring CoinMarketCap. So whenever we can, we currently use our own price data for assets. So prices of whatever the price of assets as they have most recently been traded in our system. As we grow and add more currencies, we can do that better. But we are looking into alternatives to CoinMarketCap, since it's important to be on systems that we can trust. So, yeah.
Thank you, Tom. So I think on the same topic, while some users is asking us to run away, a few users are asking when we will be there. So when will Nash exchange be listed on CoinMarketCap for volume tracking and such? Hater thoughts, I don't know. We have not applied to it. I know it's a big platform for discovery where people learn about new things. So I would say whenever we are fully happy with some things, we will start pushing this. And that's the whole idea of GA, right? So we'll reach all those portals that list DeFi, track exchanges, and so on. So this is part of a different effort. Next question is from Valgreen. It was mentioned that BTC trading might be launched on Q4 2019, followed by the end of Q1. Could you run through us how the troubleshooting development process behind BTC trading has looked and on your end during these past 6 months? Have any noteworthy persistence or unexpected bugs or flaw or reason that has proven difficult to overcome or require a drastic overhaul on the initial design? If we have deviated much from the BTC trading protocol specification of March 2019, I think we publicly said that this, or has that been relatively entirely sound? I will answer the initial part of this, but I think Tom is the best person to answer the end of the question. So regarding the troubleshooting, I think this is something we learned a lot on the past, is how to better test things. And we have been running these on different stages. You can see we have to a much more cautious road on releasing Bitcoin than we did with Ethereum and Neo cross-chain trading. And the reason is we really want to put on the hand of users a more refined product so that there's not much frustration, because you really can't control how many people try your product, right? So we want that there's at least something that we know is solid there. And yes, we have found issues on this process, and finding issues is exactly why we have those processes.
Yeah, I can add a little bit more to that. I think maybe we've stuck pretty closely to our initial trading protocol specification. I think some of the back and forth was around some of the legal questions, but we were able to overcome those. I would say just the difficulty of estimating like a large project like that when there's with a lot of unknowns. I mean, it's a process that we've been trying to get better at, but it's a constant struggle between something that we know our community wants and the limitations of our speed in implementing something so complex. So, you know, one of the issues is, you know, do we implement something in a kind of not the most robust way, but get it to market way? And that's like a trade-off you could take every single day. And if you took the let's not do it the most robust way every day, you'd end up with a pretty poor product. So, but if you would say like, okay, let's do it the perfect way right now every time, then you'd never really launch. So it's a constant struggle between those two things. In terms of the kind of the persistent and, you know, difficulty, I think it's just the complexity with Bitcoin and its UTXO nature. So Neo is a UTXO based chain, but because blocks are confirmed so quickly, it's a lot easier to deal with. With Bitcoin, we can't really be certain until almost an hour and a half later, you know, 6 blocks, that a transaction is sent is not going to get, you know, completely reorganized out of the chain. So in the meantime, when we're trying to settle all these trades, you know, send Bitcoin here or have a user's funds reallocated to some other user after a trade, we can do that in an optimistic way, say, but we can't know for certain that it occurred until 90 minutes later. So building essentially trees of what the possibility of the settlement state is, given on, you know, say it could look one way if this transaction is confirmed, and we hope it's that way, but if that's not, then the whole settlement system will look this way. So we have to be able to react and manage any different possible state. So it's a difficult problem, but we're pretty happy with where we're at right now.
Cool. Yeah, I'll take the next question. And just to add on to that a little bit, there's just always a tension when you're giving any kind of estimates, right? Like on the one hand, if we don't give any estimates at all, that's kind of a problem. But on the other hand, what we give are estimates, right? They're not actual like deadlines. So, I mean, it's a really fine balance, and I think everyone agrees we can do better, but it is just a hard thing to do in general. So next question, RedK, what about interest yields on stablecoin deposits? Yeah, so this is something I talked about briefly earlier. We have definitely noticed, let's say, the enthusiasm among our community for staking NEX, and we're interested in sort of taking advantage of that kind of energy and also giving people the ability to earn interest on other assets in their accounts. So we've been looking into ways to do this, probably through kind of non-custodial lending or borrowing setups. This also dovetails a little bit with some of the work we're doing on different kinds of leverage for trading as well. So we don't have any sort of specific technical details to share here, other than this is something we're interested in and looking into.
The next one from Sander DMS. Can you elaborate on important validated learning processes that currently happen outside the view of the community? Specific case, Bitcoin trading. So we do have a lot of different complex systems in our backend, whether it's a matching engine or the customer, or like the central account service or the settlement system. And in each cases, there's one or two of our engineers that are experts in those systems because they built them or they've become really familiar with them over the last year or two. So one of our initiatives currently is training the whole team to be at least fluent or able to understand what's going on in the most complex pieces of the code base. So we call it kind of a group learning initiative. So that involves, the one engineer who's an expert in a certain piece of the code giving a lecture or a series of lectures on how a certain piece of code operates. And then the other engineers contributing to that whole library, whether that's in writing more different tests or refactoring out complexities or writing documentation on that. So that's one of the things that we're focusing on, just allowing our engineers to become more, everyone to become an expert in all the different places of the code, so we aren't as siloed. But yeah.
All right, so Beat Spencer asked
Sorry,
here.
I was talking. Muted.
Feel free to take it. I was going to say no, there is no plan B because it works, but you might want to elaborate that more.
Yeah, so in some sense, I think the interpretation of this question is maybe what do I do if something goes wrong with the matching engine or state channel? And that's what the manual withdrawal process is designed for the most part. So this is something that it is possible to do, but it's not something that's very easy to do right now. And this is something we're going to be building out infrastructure for. Otherwise, I tend to agree with Fabio's answer. Yeah, hopefully the state channels are just working.
All right, so Omar has a question.
Yeah, Telegram user Double. We know the team doesn't have any control over legal and compliance stuff, but could you please give us anything on when Canada will be available to trade on Nash? Also, same with Next token. Is there a time estimate when Next will be available on Nash? Have you already applied for appropriate licenses? Any information is greatly appreciated. So I have to answer this question a bit along the lines how I answered the question about the Next listing and the security trading licenses. Canada is a bit of a special case, similar to the US. So we need money transmitter licenses in each state. And since this requires boots on the ground, that you either have yourself or you work with partners, which again requires a lot of resources, we chose not to pursue Canada at the moment. So this is something we plan to do probably in Q3 this year, but it's not something we're working on at the moment.
Yeah, it's really important that we already touch a big piece of the world, right? So our idea is to grow on those markets which we have very low penetration.
The next one is from Jen SJ. Why does the Python SDK still not support deposit and withdrawal functionality? Since TypeScript client does include these functions, it seems like a trivial effort to add them to the Python wrapper. I asked the same question last AMA, and back then the answer was that they were working on it because it's needed for MPC work, and that it would be expected in 1 or 2 months. So unfortunately, all of our focus in the API client in the last quarter has gone into the TypeScript client, and the MPC functionality is all currently in the TypeScript client. Because kind of the legacy nature of the Python client, it would take us quite a bit of work to refactor some of the MPC changes needed into that client. So I think we are going to be formally deprecating the Python client at a certain point. And I think at a certain point we'll also be deprecating the ability to log in with just a username and password via the API, just due to security issues. What I can say in regards to more SDK support is that one of our next initiatives is writing a library in a more low-level language such as Rust, and being able to export an SDK with full, GraphQL and WebSocket support and MPC support to any language necessary, like Python, Java, TypeScript, maybe even PHP if you're into that kind of thing. And but yeah, bad news on the Python client. Python is one of my first loves, but unfortunately, I've learned to fall in love with TypeScript for the moment.
So next question is from Kestra. It's asking about allowing people to stake tokens on Nash. That staking brings a big crowd. That the addition of claiming gas on Neo was a good addition. And that many people already hold staking coins on centralized exchanges. But there's an untapped market regarding people who is risk averse to hold staking coins on centralized exchanges. It's certainly something we are looking to it for the long term, but as I said on the initial slides of the presentation, our absolutely focus is to finalizing our platform with fiat ramps, new transfer flows, and Nash Pay, and focus on growing this offering. We would do improvements on several pieces of those products, and this can be one. Expanding the staking from taking only Next to also take other coins. But it's not something we are treating as a priority right now. Next question is from Hater Thoughts, asking how the team wants us to advertise BTC trading on Nash to BTC users. If you want to say it's decentralized or non-custodial, people have a problem with the word DEX, and that's true. If they want us to say that Nash is the first to do so, if it would help with spreading the word about Nash and attracting users. I would say that for a Bitcoin community, we would like people to not engage on advertising right now, because we want this to be perfect before we engage that broader community. And also because the Bitcoin community is much more sensible to some properties that we want to demonstrate. What I mean by that is that when our community is advertising our Bitcoin support, we want us to provide material so that the community can show to that other community, here, this is the open source protocol from Nash, or this is the paper where Nash describe how it's doing these things, especially when touching some key people in the Bitcoin community. And one comment is that being first to trade Bitcoin as a order book exchange is true, but the problem is on the details, right? So we just had something similar happening on Twitter the other day, which was Nash being the first to do non-custodial Bitcoin trade. That's not true, because there are other solutions that do non-custodial Bitcoin trade using solutions like atomic swap, for example, or things like hold and hold, where you have a list of offers and a list to buy and sell, and you can click on that list and take one of those. So those are also non-custodial trading for Bitcoin. But as an exchange or order book-based exchange, we are the first. So it's, since we have all this complication, right? So since we have all this detail, we don't want the wrong information to be passed. So we will publish material, videos, and articles explaining all those things. And when that is in place, I think our community will be in a much better position to engage these other communities. And better informed as well, right? Transparency is really important for us. So we don't want to have this discussion with another community where they say, but how you do it, where is the source code? We want to just provide that and make them happy to join us on our mission, which is the same mission. We believe in open finance. As the other user asked it here, we wrote an article about it 2 years ago, and since then we have just been every day building towards that. So the next question is from Sanders DMS. Sanders says, congratulations with everything Nash has achieved so far. Thank you. I think the whole team is very happy with all the things we have brought to the market. We wanted to bring more. How would you describe Nash management style in the beginning versus now? I think it changed a lot. And what ideas have you adopted as the company grew? Principles, philosophies, and inspiration you are looking into test or implement in the future? I think as we received more insight on what we are building, one thing that is, when you are starting a startup, you have to underestimate the problem, because if you don't underestimate the problem you're facing, you probably do not start any startup. So when faced with several challenges, and not only technical but also personal challenges, I think we adopted things like more formal project management, also more formal follow-up. We also introduced several things as we grew in the number of employees. Like we have a person dedicated to human resources now, which take care of contracts and keeping information regarding HR inside the company. So all those things are learning points inside the organization that it's really hard for you. Even when someone inside the team already has that knowledge, it's the environment of the startup is different. So it's not one-to-one translatable, but I think we move it really fast on our learnings regarding that. When you think about the size of our team, we have about 35 people in total. So this is counting engineering, no engineering, and for a team of 35 to bring a mobile solution, a web app solution, API clients, MPC, Bitcoin trading, produce videos, marketing, provide support, finance, so many innovations in legal and compliance. All those things for a small team, I think we are doing really well in that sense. Of course, we can improve more, but it's nothing to be unhappy about. And inspiration, I think each founder takes inspiration from different learnings each person has. And I think one thing that we just implemented, started implementing, is what Tom was referring to regarding knowledge share. I think it's something that we certainly want to do more inside our company. Because when we do so, there's so many opportunities for improving the quality, and not only the quality of the product, but also the quality of the team interactions. So the first question from Hater Thoughts, I think, was answered by Fabian during the presentation. There's no reason for further insight into that. People can just rewind to the mobile side of the presentation. The second one is from Old Sport.
I can take that one. So Old Sport asks, will every upgrade in the future require a downtime and use of the maintenance screen? Short answer is no. We already don't use maintenance for our development environments, but of course the reason why we do it for production is because it's safer. But we do have plans in the future that would allow us to do production deploys as well in a safer way without using maintenance. And also, we are also looking into ways we can still provide some kinds of services even though our servers are down, like personal wallets or other things like that. They can keep working even though our internal systems might not. So that's it.
Thank you, Samuel. So the first question from Trust Yourselves. When will the simplified interface be back on the live version? Saying that it was really nice, and it presumed we removed it because of liquidity. Actually, the reason we removed it was because we were unhappy with the user experience. So it's really good to hear that you like it, but inside the company, we were thinking that we can do much better, and we will add it again after we are in GA. So we will go with GA with only the advanced interface, and after that we will put some energy to bring a simplified version again. Another question from Pine on how many developers do you have on the Nash team at the moment? I think 25. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, sorry, 27 developers currently in the team. Head K, has your strategy in the near term focus more on institutional than retail? No, but initially we built most of the things for retail, and a lot of the things like Ethan mentioned, like the MPC API keys, or Fabian mentioned the fiat ramps, those are important for institutionals. So the pendulum has shifted from a lot of things being built for retail to a lot of things being built by institutional, but this swings back and forth, and we will be focused on the crypto market as a whole, not a specific segment of that. And it's important to know why, right? We are not focusing on that because we have not engaged on GA, right? So when we are seeking growth, which is our target after Q2, and we have talked about this a lot on this presentation, is when you do measure funnels, right? So you measure where you have bigger traction, and is where you focus. So focusing now on this would be what we say driving blind. We have no feedback to show that we should take that direction right now.
GMS asking a Nash Pay question. I'm building an online store and would like to accept Bitcoin and others. Can you share a rough time horizon on when merchants will be able to use Nash Pay on their stores? So I think I touched on this, and we're already in talks with first partners and merchants, and I believe we will be seeing the first merchants using Nash Pay in May.
And then the last question from Old Sport. An export feature of trading history was available at some point in Sandbox. Is it planned for release in the near future? And do you have plans to make it available through the API? Yes, it is. There was some issues that we were resolving, and it should be up in the next week or two. As far as being available through the API, I don't believe we had considered that, but it would be a pretty easy thing to add.
All right, guys. So thank you everyone for tuning in for this quarterly report. Thank you for the other founders here in the channel. And, it was really great to be in contact again.
Thanks, everyone.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. See ya.